So the number one thing I find with my clients when they're struggling with stability in lunges is the width of their stance. So I like to imagine my feet are on two train tracks, or two parallel lines on the floor. So when I step back into my lunge, I want to make sure that my feet are going to stay on those tracks. So when I step my foot back, it's going to stay the same distance away from the front foot that it was at the start. So when I lunge down, I'm nice and stable. If what I find a lot of people do is they're not aware of that, they don't do that, and when they step back, their foot kind of drifts behind the other one, and then not very stable at all. And this applies whether you're stepping forward into your lunge or back into your lunge, but I'm just using a back lunge for these purposes. So, number one, check your stance width. Try and maintain that as you step back or forwards. The next reason most often I find is people aren't aware of what the front knee is doing. So again, we said we want to keep this nice wide stance or nice parallel stance. We also want to make sure that our knees and feet stay in good alignment. So what happens a lot of times, we step into the lunge, and when we lunge down, the front knee caves in, which is obviously quite wobbly. So check yourself doing this. If you find you are prone to doing this, you're going to have to make a concerted effort to engage the muscles in the outside of your thigh and your bum to keep that knee outwards. Okay, so it might mean you need to slow your lunge down a little bit if you're prone to doing this. Slow it down, concentrate on front knee alignment. Okay, another reason, quite commonly, is then also what the back foot is doing. So the back foot and the back heel quite often. So again, people step into their lunge, and when they drop down, sometimes their back heel turns out, so that knee falls in, and then we're not very stable. Or it can happen the other way as well. So again, we want to make sure the feet and the knees and the hips are all pointing in the same direction. So if you're prone to doing this, again, keep an eye on it. Think about that knee going straight down, heel staying where it is. Another common one is stride length. So how long a lunge you're actually taking. So one of the most important things in your lunge, whether you're lunging forwards or backwards, is that we're going to keep the front heel firmly on the ground. Okay, and we're going to use that to push back up into to get us up out of the lunge. Now what sometimes happens if people take too narrow a stride or too short a stride, they try and lunge down and their knee shoots forward and their heel comes up, and that's a pretty wobbly position, and it also is not good for your knee. So again, it might be that you need to take a slightly longer stride. You want to aim for ending up with a round 90-degree angle on both knees and that front heel firmly down. So check your stride length. The last one that I find people do quite a lot is because the lunge is obviously largely about the legs, people aren't thinking about what their core is doing. So they're concentrating so much on the legs that their upper body is just kind of hunched over and there's no support there. So strong in the core, upper body, shoulders back, core engaged. Okay, so again, much stronger than kind of just letting everything hang and trying to do your lunge that way. So those are my top tips for if you feel a little bit wobbly in your lunge. Check the train track foot position, make sure you're not stepping behind. Check your front knee, make sure it's not rolling in. Check your back foot, make sure that heel isn't rolling outwards. Check your stride length, so make sure you're not too close. So we're getting that 90-degree angle on both knees. And think about your core, so strong in the whole body, not just the legs. I hope those help, let me know.